There it is, the Tower of Babel. Actually, it's a crane. Gonna be doing some walking in downtown Portland tonight. Gonna show you some of the sights. Saying goodbye to this hometown of mine. Who knows whether it's for good or forever how long. So I'm gonna focus on enjoying myself tonight. To the best of my ability, not gonna get into politics to anybody. Or anything like that. But I will provide my commentary on the Portland that this is becoming, as well as highlight some of the unique aspects of our city. We're walking over the Burnside Bridge. This is I-5. Okay, this is Waterfront Park, and Old Town, Chinatown, some of the videos you've seen where there's a lot of fights going on, all throughout this area, which we'll get to. But when they were Shanghaiing people, it was all happening through here. And there's a little bit of debate as to how they did it. The tunnels, believe it or not, the underground city, if you will, was also used by the Chinese when they were basically running for their lives, when there was competition for jobs in that old time period when Portland was founded. This is also the location of the annual Rose Festival every June. For a long time, this building has been known as the Big Pink, or the tallest building in Portland. Now the elevation kind of goes from higher to lower, and so it doesn't appear like it's the tallest when you look at the skyline, but it is the tallest or second tallest. There may have been a building in the last decade that's gone up that's surpassed it. Over here is a landmark. It's the famous Made in Oregon sign. In many documentaries and films and promos of Portland, I'm sure you've seen the Made in Oregon sign. It actually reads Portland, Oregon. But the Made in Oregon store is actually below the bridge down here. But all throughout here is a lot of homeless, as well as other places under the bridge. It's always been that way for a while, but now it's a really big issue. And there's a lot of meth activity right underneath here. And this is the Portland Rescue Mission. It's a homeless shelter for the super down and out. Really nasty conditions. Most of the people heavily medicated on drugs and alcohol. Not a place you want to recommend someone go when they're homeless, because of the type of problems that they might encounter. Okay, so we're at the corner of 2nd and Ankeny, and there's a bar over there called the Shanghai Tunnel, and there's tours that people take where they see the tunnels. This is the Salvation Army. That is another homeless shelter. This is an area where you see the old world and the world today in a way merged and one and the same. Even though we're in the age of cell phones and technology, the spirit of debauchery and oblivion that exists here, and the troubles that people get into in these particular bars and bars surrounding it. Bad things that have happened to people in the past hundreds of years ago, and the same energy construct existing today. And a very clear divide between the have and have-nots, those that are not so well adjusted to this conquered ancient forest, and those that are still playing the game, and those that are medicating their own ways to help them cope with playing the game, hence the bread and circus. And the idea of trashing your body and getting involved in bad situations with people and getting involved in fights. And also think about some of the unfortunate things that have happened to women that have gone home with the wrong men, and traps they've been led into, all from drugs and alcohol and a desire to basically have a really good time, which in some cases end up a really big nightmare. Adult and family service buildings right here. So in Portland there's a lot of poverty pimps, Central City Concern, Join, other groups, where you have a massive bureaucracy that's based on making money off of the social services programs that they have. Some people are in a lot of ways helped by these services, but a lot of people become dependent on it. And a lot of people make money off of them supposedly helping people, the funding that goes into some of these organizations. In particular, the housing. We have the Thirsty Lion over here. This is Ash Street over here. There's Ash Street Saloon over here. This is Ankeny's Alley from the other way. I was just shooting the other shot from over there. And yeah, that place became a strip club in recent years. Here's Voodoo Donuts, which I believe is now in Austin. And this is 3rd Street. A steakhouse that I used to work at years ago, when it used to be located at the corner of 3rd and Oak, is up that way. And since that time, when I left Portland and came back, they moved up to Broadway. That's Burnside behind us. And Chinatown, the gates to Chinatown, right over here. And tow trucks are a big deal around here. Big deal around here. People aren't paying attention to where they're parking. It is a big business. Towing cars is a big business. And this is the Chinatown Gate on 4th Street, 4th and Burnside. And there's actually a movie that was shot in Portland back in 1993 called Brain Smasher: A Love Story. And a friend of the family was an extra in that film. You can actually find it on YouTube. Type in Brain Smasher: A Love Story. And he was one of the extras. So there's a few Chinese restaurants in this part of town, but there are plans to heavily gentrify Chinatown with millions of dollars, bring in other businesses. But there was a time in Portland's history when these streets weren't safe to walk on at certain hours. A lot more crack dealing. It's gone through lots of waves, if you will. This is Cooch Street, standing at the corner of 4th and Cooch in Portland, Oregon. A lot of this goes on in Portland. It gets so dirty, people pissing everywhere. It gets loud, man. It gets real loud. It's like a serious deal. Like, clean off the grime. Like, I'm not joking. Anyways, I stopped for a few. It's an hour later. We're walking on Burnside. So the term Skid Row actually originates both in Portland and Seattle. Some say it's Seattle, some historians cite Portland. And it was this. But there was something dealing with Seattle and stuff skidding down the hills. A friend told me this that's very knowledgeable in the history of Old Town Seattle. So I could see that. But Skid Row also originates here on Burnside Avenue in Portland, Oregon, USA. There are many water fountains in Portland that look just like this, that have been around for a long time. The thing is, the water is good, but anyways, we got a lot of water fountains here. Now, it's cool and all to a point that in the middle of Skid Row, Burnside, Portland, Oregon, you know, about 3 or 4 blocks from Old Town Chinatown, we have the Drug and Alcohol Recovery Center. And I understand that it saves some lives, and I have my own story. The thing is, there's root causes to why people do what they do, and they're not really addressed in today's society. If you're being told you were born a certain way with a disposition to be an addict, you're not really helping people understand why they're an addict or why they're not so well adjusted to this not so natural environment. You understand what I'm saying? There's root causes. There's root causes for everything. Alright, that flashing sign is Mary's, the strip club, one of the oldest strip clubs in Portland, or the oldest. And this is Broadway. This is the Benson Hotel. Back in the day, the presidents would stay here. 4-star hotel. I worked here between 2002 and 2003. And it was during that time period that I worked at this particular hotel as a busboy that I had my awakening, a deep awakening. And back in those years of 2002, 2003, post 9/11, and right before they invaded Iraq, I started doing a lot of research while working in this building. And I would go up and down to the 13th floor, actually, of this building, the 13th floor, and turn in laundry and things like that. In particular, like the handkerchiefs or whatnot that are available in the dining room. And since that time, there's been other competition that's come in. And so now the presidents go underground. Oh, so when the big politicians come, they come to the Hilton, which is down that way a few blocks. This is one of Portland's first banks. It's currently the U.S. Bank, but you can tell from the architecture, in the tradition of the pavilion design, if I even know what I'm talking about. Columns of power. And this is El Gacho. Used to be called a place called Trader Vic's a really long time ago. And El Gacho's pretty high end. You're talking like per person, probably 40 bucks, 50 bucks. Pretty high end. A step up from the London Grill, which is underneath the Benson Hotel as far as food quality, but there's a lot better bang for your buck. Big time when it comes to the quality of the food. A lot of it is about the experience. But as far as substance, that's another thing. This is Hotel Lucia. It's been around at least a decade. And it has kind of a more posh style to it. Up the street from the Benson. And we have the Marriott right here. This is actually pronounced Patzos, and I've known a couple people that have worked here over the years. I've actually always wanted to work in Patzos back when I was doing the restaurant thing, but this is an Italian restaurant. And if someone is looking for good Italian food in Portland, this is the place to go. I would definitely go here before going to somewhere like El Gacho or Roost Chris Steakhouse. Put it that way. I'm going to take some time to point out some of the local businesses that do exist in this bursting metropolitan area. This is called the Spice and Tea Exchange. This used to be a cutlery store where you could find knives of higher quality, things of that nature. There's actually a Crenshaw blade that I bought from here for $65 a long time ago. It was actually right here when it was a cutlery store, but now it's a spice store. This used to be a decent coffee shop to go to, you know, kind of an alternative to Starbucks, and now it looks like it's called the Public Domain Coffee Shop. It looks very, very sterile, very transhumanist, whereas before it looked, oh, look at this, right next to it. It's all boarded up, getting ready for the next hipster dive. And this is Nordstrom. I actually worked here back in the winter of 98, 99, and that was during a time period of massive transition. But I actually worked in the shoe department here a long time ago, and I've actually worked, Macy's is down there, before it used to be Myron Frank, and actually at one point worked as a server. Well, somebody was skidding their tires there. I actually worked as a server in what was called the Gregorian room. Hope you like that. This is Pioneer Courthouse Square. It's known as Portland's living room. They funded this. They funded the bricks by people actually donating, and they actually got money, or rather, they got money from the population, and people got to put their names on the bricks, so they're able to create this. So that's kind of cool in a sense, but they also have a lot of rules and regulations. You can't smoke here, you can't film and have a tripod. So it's funny to see a publicly owned space being used as like a test space for a police state. This area's seen a lot of change. This is Pioneer Place. It's a really great street musician outside, much better than what you see during the day. It's probably 11 o'clock at night, but the heartfelt feeling that I'm getting right now from this guy is a lot more than what you get normally. Definitely a lot more. And these streets have seen a lot of history. All up and down. A lot of travelers, a lot of nomads, a lot of people on the edge, suffering and trying to make it in this crazy Babylon that we're living in. And even though music isn't really, it's not something that I do myself as a performer, I understand why some people go on the path of music and choose to not live the slave life. And as the machine of transport drowns us out, we go for a closer look. In God, I know I'm one. And he stands in front of Pioneer Place, a machine of consumerism.
She was a sailor. She's so he was a gambler down in
Got a hotel over here. He's got an audience. Got a higher-end hotel actually. There's a massive, Portland is an interesting place to see that coexistence. It's deep, and it cuts deep, especially if you're on the wrong side of the tracks, so to speak.
It's been the ruin of many a poor boy. Oh God, I know I'm one.
Okay, we're on 3rd and Morrison. I spent a lot of time here, but not when it was Ross, when it was a bookstore. I used to come here before work. I used to read books. Back in 2003, I found David Icke's books here. I found books by James Mars. I found books, all different types of books in their conspiracy section, which they clearly had labeled when this was a Borders. And now it's a Ross, dress for less, which says enough. It's a pawn shop. It's been here for many years. H&B Jewelry and Loan. But you know what? There's always time for plastic flowers. Or plastic whatever these things are. What the f... Help me! Get me out of here! A lot of food carts on 3rd Avenue. A lot of them closed at the moment, but there's a few that stay up late for the bar crowd. And a lot more Iraqi carts, Mediterranean carts. Absolutely none that are labeled Afghani. And notice that. That's another topic for another time. A lot of decent Thai, Chinese, and Vietnamese food that you can find in Portland. But the East Coast Chinese food is fairly competitive to the West Coast. And this is also big in Portland. Don't let the Middle Eastern music confuse you. This is not really a very open culture. When people want to eat and stuff their face and dance the night away and wear different fashions, oh yeah, they're all about it. When it comes to compassion for others that are suffering, actually saying something about what's taking place, when it's taking place, when people are getting killed, that you don't see. And you definitely don't see that from some of the people that have migrated here from some of those war zones, because they don't want to get hit. This is Cameron's Books and Magazines, one of the oldest bookstores in Portland, Oregon. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's constantly being targeted by vandals. And so throughout my years, I've noticed Cameron's on a regular basis boarded up. They have a lot of archive magazines here from back in the day, and there aren't a lot of businesses. There used to be a lot more in Portland where they sold old archive magazines. But nowadays, with the cost of living increase and rent increase, it's harder for smaller businesses to make a living selling magazines for 50 cents or $1. And there's something important about that, about the archiving of information, of books and knowledge, and reading things. So how long Cameron's will be here, I don't know. But they definitely have a lot of problems along here. Now this right here is the current Church of Scientology. And it's in this building that I worked for 5 years, between 2004 and 2005. And it also has an underground area that at one point connected in with Old Town Chinatown over in this general area. So I have a lot of history doing Outside the Box TV and actually working as a busboy in this actual building. This is actually one of the more stranger Church of Scientology setups that I've seen before. Very elaborate. I'm not sure why they've chosen to close things off like this. That I haven't seen before. But they have shitloads of propaganda that they can solve all your problems if you join the Church of Scientology. Very strange shit. Then we have a guy over here talking to himself. This is the door. They used to come out, sneak a smoke break. And what ended up with me being fired is me actually leaving and actually going over here and grabbing some Thai food, and for that I was fired. So the literal reason I was fired from this place was coming out this back door, grabbing a bite to eat. And that is history. This is the Portland Outdoor Store, and it's been here for a long time.
Take a fucking shit walk to hell, bitch.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
Take your little fucking piece of goddamn shit.
All right.
In your hand, bitch, and shove it in your fucking hand.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? I'm homeless too. Okay.
You think I give a fuck?
Hey, don't walk toward. Here we go. See, this is the typical. That's what I was describing. There are people in this town that are homeless that will turn other homeless because they're hurting. But we're all hurting, man. I'm hurting too. I'm about to leave Portland in 3 days. I see what's happening here. That's what I'm making a video about. I'm making a video how I used to work here when this was a restaurant. Now it's like a cult place. Church of Scientology. I know what's going on with Portland. I'm not a hipster. I'm not a hipster. No, it was a Ruth Chris. Now they're up on Broadway. But I'm not here to harass you. All right, it's all good. You want a cigarette? All right. We're good, man. All right. I wish I could say something to uplift your spirits, but I'll tell you what. I know the city's going downhill.
It's not the city.
It's the world. It's the world. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that.
Are you aware of what this place is?
I'm aware of a lot of the history of Portland, the Shanghaiing, and why there's a lot of suffering people here.
This is the new Armageddon.
It's the new Armageddon.
Yes.
Well, no shit, we could see it. I mean, we could see it in the way that, look at all the businesses, look at what it's all based around. Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard of the Portland history, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, when people were shanghaied out of here, and this whole area, Old Town, Chinatown, was one big giant zone of debauchery. So here we are in the year 2015. How much has changed? Other than the fact that we've got smartphones. Or I don't have a smartphone, maybe you don't, but a lot of these people do have smartphones. So I'm with you. We're in this. And there's other things coming, like war, like economic collapse. Can I record you talking about the Tower of Babel?
The Tower of Babylon? Yeah, of course.
The beast system, artificial intelligence, it's here.
It's here. Babylon. We were separated into tongues because we were trying to build a stairway to heaven. The Tower of Babylon. Come on, man. We couldn't build a stairway out of sticks and stones to go to heaven. You got to understand, all of you, the references of the Bible. There are references, deep references. We don't understand this, none of us. Some of us are able to conceive. Some of us are able to feel certain things that some of us can't. And something, our Creator. None of us know what the Creator is. We don't know what the Creator is. We want to. We're trying to find out.
Oh, it's all good.
But we don't know. We're stuck in this place, every damn one of us. And we're trying to find a way out. I just met a man. I don't meet people very often that can construe to me that they have any kind of level of intelligence. But this guy clearly does.
How do you see Portland fitting in with the Tower of Babel? Even though we talked about it earlier.
I've studied the Bible. I've been referenced to the Bible a lot in my life. And I know that it states that prior to Armageddon, there will be the rebuilding of Babylon.
And you see the beast system, as you said earlier, as artificial intelligence.
I don't know what Babylon is.
Right.
But I know this through my personal. Babylon is where we were taken into different tongues.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a trip, man. Because we're all looking at.
Wow.
No.
separated by different tongues, cliques, tribes, skins.
Black, white. There's not that much difference between any of us. We can all clearly see this. How did we all become divided? You know, American Indian, Hispanics, blacks. There's not that much difference between us. The tower, you tried to build a stairway to my heaven. This is in accordance to the Bible in ways that most of us can't understand. In accordance to the Bible. So, you tried to build a stairway. But what's the stairway? Satellites.
Okay.
Space research. Those kinds of things.
A lot going on with space and space bases and promises of trips to Mars now. They're telling people they're going to take them to Mars in 10 years. What's that all about? Are they really going to take them to Mars? Or are they going to take them somewhere else? So there's a lot of us wondering what's going on with technology and this beast system that you talked about. And space. There's definitely a lot going on. And with geopolitics, you see tensions with all these countries we talked about. But they're united in space. They're united on their plans for this International Space Station and sharing it. And Russia going to the moon, China going to the moon. All that, I think, is very much related to that.
You see things, don't you?
Well, not like I literally like, oh my God, but you know, I I feel, you know, I have a sense.
Yes, you do. And I love you.
Well, I love you too, man. I appreciate the conversation here, the last hour here. Stand outside my old work here, which is now the Church of Scientology. My thing is the lack of empathy and feelings I'm seeing from others. That's what has alerted me the most in this last year being back, because people should still have feelings for others in general, and not think that they can actually achieve happiness through selfish means. And that attitude seems to have taken over kind of the whole of the city, including the politicians. And so, as long as that continues, what can come from this?
It's not looking good, is it?
Okay, and we are now moving on. Not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm in the bathroom, but like I said, there's a lot of that going on here. This bar has a lot of history. This is the Ash Street Saloon. I've returned to this spot in Old Town, Chinatown. Taking a breather for a few. Been an interesting night.
Sky, staring at the sky, thinking, looking, at a glaze, thinking change, and they'll just keep going around and round and round for 8, 9, who knows, maybe 15 or 20 years, looking at the sky, in an imaginary illusion, of like change, because that's the hypnotic spell of their party, is the better party. They're all. Alex, that's the way all the goofy liberals think when they're guys. Where is he? Is he coming down from the sky?
And the bars are closing. It's 2 o'clock. I've had hours of conversation with some really intelligent people. And it wasn't documented on camera. But I am now heading back.
Washington is still in all that's not about.
Last minute shots of Ankeny Alley. Last time I'll see it for maybe a long time. Alex Ansay here, signing out.